Hello and welcome. This is Voorhess Tiger Vision. We're here with the coach, head coach of the Voorhess men's basketball program, Cabral Huff. Coach, it's been a little while. Good to see you back. How's everything going? How you been?
Just grinding, brother. Just grinding. Trying to find new Tigers and closing out the year strong. Just little things like that, man. So it's been good.
Yeah, not a lot of people know how busy things can be. The job continues even though there are no games to play. Uh, Coach, do we want to give just some kind of highlights of what your summer may look like?
Summer. So summer. Obviously our guys are home, but they've got an off-season plan. That we're in our second 4 weeks of our off-season plan of what they've got to do. It involves weights, it involves conditioning, it involves basketball. We want our guys to put up at least 500 shots a week. They've got to send us, have some weightlifting stuff they have to do, and then we progress every 4 weeks. So we're even seeing our incoming freshmen. They're showing us gains from when we first started this. Got our guy Keyshawn Fleeting from St. Anne Pacelli, who's he's got a 15-pound gain in his bench. He's got a 25-pound gain in his squat. So we're loving those kind of gains so these guys can come back in August and be ready to go.
You had as all things with the program, you had a super detailed plan to make sure that these guys were getting better over the summer. Coach, does it bother you at all about just not being able to touch and put your hands on guys, and that part of it, is it worrisome at all, or do you feel like guys are really following that plan to the T?
I'm not gonna lie if I don't say it. It doesn't bother me that I can't put my hands on them, but it is what it is. As those are the rules we gotta live by. But I think my guys are locked in. We're in our group meet chat, and they're challenging each other to make sure they stay on it. They're getting it done. They're showing progress. Not just the shots, but they're showing videos of them working out. A lot of it's got to be about trust, and we talk a lot about truth and trust in our program. And so this is one of those examples of where you got to have it. But we also tell them now, if they come back in August and they didn't do their part of the deal, then just understand that somebody's probably passing them by. Because we like the 2021 recruiting class that we're developing right now.
100%. We're going to talk a little bit about that 21 recruiting class and just give people a glance at what you're going to be bringing in. Some really talented players. We've kind of talked about a little bit, but a couple of new faces that people may not know about from a few past episodes. But before we go there, there's some honors that have been bestowed amongst this last group. Our guy Hector Rosario received some honors. We want to talk about that a little bit.
Definitely, he received some from All-American honors. First by the NAIA, he was an honorable mention All-American, and that's just really a distinct honor to be recognized for. When the guy leads us in every statistical category, points, rebounds, second in assists, and then first in steals, that says a lot about him as a person, especially playing the guard position, his first year with us. So really excited about that mention. And then he got another All-American mention by the Black College Sports Network. He was named second team All-American. So really excited about him, his progress. He's got some things that we've told him he's got to improve upon. And he's already started working to improve upon those things. We want him to get stronger. We want some of his playmaking off ball screens to be a little better. But we're really excited about, the next level of his development coming up.
I love it, Coach. Not sitting back and resting on our laurels or past accomplishments, already challenging the young man to even go further and continue to get better. I think Hector is one of those kids. Rosario is one of those kids that will take that challenge and really run with it. I'm expecting big things come next year.
Correct. Really expecting him to also improve leadership-wise. Obviously, we lose 4 seniors, so obviously him and Taiwan Bowie and Joel Davis, we're really going to be counting on them as being leaders this coming year with this team, especially for our young guys. But I'm just really excited because, last year was a little bit different. We were on campus, but everybody wasn't here. We didn't get a chance to do preseason workouts and, conditioning, all the things we didn't have a chance to do last year, we get a chance to do this year. So that's what really excites me. Yes, we did great things this past season, but what we can become this season is what my staff and I are really excited about.
Absolutely. Let's talk about getting the extra year, Coach. Will that help a kid like Rosario of having that year to come back and go through a full season?
It helps all of our kids, to be honest with you, a lot of them. And it's unfortunate when we talk about recruiting, when I get a lot of emails and calls, especially from the guard position. They're asking me, do we have any guard room available? And we really don't, because all of our guards are really coming back. Some of it because of the extra year, some of it just because they were younger anyway, and they were really good. But it does, because you got to realize we didn't play a full schedule. So, not playing a full schedule and not having it hurt them and still getting, the same years of eligibility that's left is really, really important for them.
For sure. I definitely see that some of those guys are going to get an opportunity to really take off. When you talk about not having the ability to practice like you wanted to last year. Again, you mentioned the preseason conditioning, the work in the summer that those guys are getting now. They're going to be able to come in and already kind of understanding at least a baseline of what it is you want and how you want the practices to look and how you want to compete in practice. I feel like that's going to be a huge gain for next year.
I mean, you got to realize that there were only 5 guys that returned from the team when I took over. So everybody else that was on that team was new. Then you talk about those freshmen. So all those things play a part of what you just said. So now it was almost like last year. Granted, we love the fact we won conference. We love the fact we went to the NIA national tournament. But it was almost like it was a preseason for us to let them get ready about this is what you got to expect when you're playing here. This is what you got to expect to play at the level we want to play at. And for freshmen, this is what you got to expect to play college basketball at this level, period. So I think the big jump is you're probably going to see from our freshmen. Ezekiel Williamson-Bay, Zachary White, Mikael Murray, those guys are going to take huge steps, I think, because now they know the pace of the game, the physicality of the game. It's a lot different than high school. I don't care what anybody says, and we've got a special guest that's coming on later, but he will attest. That's why we, especially at the NAIA level, and you even see it now in Division I and Division II, we are trying to get older and stay older.
For sure. And, hey, you got to give these guys your best player. You can't send them that 7th, 8th guy. That's not going to help us. It's not going to cut it. That guy's not making the team. There's no way. Let's get to some of the commitments. We've got some great guys coming in, and I'll let you kind of take a lead of which one of these guys you want to go with first. But
we'll start with the youngster, Fred Spill. So we're excited to get Fred from Portal High School in Statesboro, Georgia. Right now, Fred he's ready to play right now defensively. As you can see by his blocks per game and the way he rebounds, he has great length. We've just got to get him better physically as far as in the weight room, get him acclimated to college campus life, and get him better on the offensive end of the floor. But we're really excited about him. Excited about getting him down here in Denmark, South Carolina. So I think you may have a little video to show.
Yeah, we got some footage. Here we go.
So again, we really like his length, his athleticism, his ability to control the glass and control the rim. We talked about this early on. We got playmakers and monsters, and if you can't figure out he's supposed to be a monster for us, then you don't understand what we're trying to do.
What I love from what I see from this kid so far is I actually love his build.
Mm-hmm.
Because it tells me that he's going to be able to handle the pace that you want to play with and not slow you down on the offensive end. So there is a such thing as a guy being too big. Everybody wants size, but sometimes you get a guy that's too big, it can slow you down and you can't play the pace. You have to totally kind of change how you want to play because you can't press, you can't get up and down the way that you want to play if a guy's too big. But I love his build. I feel like he's going to be able to run the floor and do what he needs to do.
I agree. I think he's going to be definitely a guy that in years to come, you're going to see him anchoring the middle for us and doing some great things for us on both ends of the floor. You know, I hate comparing guys to people, but if he can do some of the things that Clint Capella does, then I'm perfectly fine with it. And if you don't know about Clint Capella, they're not throwing it to him in the post. He's getting off the glass. He's blocking shots. He's rebounding. He's running the floor.
Run, jump, and dunk. They can make a lot of money today.
Right.
You can run, jump, and dunk. Okay, let's go. Who do we want to talk about next?
Let's go Trent Gordon. Trent Gordon is a JUCO product coming to us after 1 year from Gordon State College. Bruce Capers, who does a great job down there. I'm probably blessed because I coached Trent for 3 years in high school. So the opportunity to get him back, to coach him again is great. He averaged 12 and 8 down there at Gordon State. Another monster for us, going to be able to attack the rim, patrol it, get rebounds, block shots, finish athletically. We think he's ready to come in and give us great minutes right away.
I would agree. And I can only imagine what's on Trent's highlights. Let's take a look.
So definitely excited about him. Another monster that we think we've gotten. It's gotten better even from those highlights. You know, those were some high school things for him, but got better this year under Bruce Capers. Played some 4 for them, not just the 5, because obviously they had another big kid about 6'7", 6'8", who they played them both together. He stepped outside a little bit more this year to be able to shoot it some. So really excited about him and getting him into the program and around some guys he already knows too.
Hey, listen, and Blue, I know you already know this, Blue, but just throw it up there. Put it anywhere even remotely close to the rim and let Trent go get it. Let's. Yeah, if y'all thought I was going crazy on the sidelines this past season, just wait until Trent catches a couple of lobs. They may have to escort me out of the building. I'll be getting so loud. Let's keep it going. We've got one more great addition coming in this year, and we'll introduce Mr. Lewis.
And then we've got Antonio Lewis from Lithia Springs High School. He actually was not playing this year. He went to a JUCO that actually didn't play, but he stayed working out, stayed with it. It's funny how relationships work. You know, kind of was working the kid out a little bit and knew about him. Realized the kid was available, and kid can really go. He's going to really be able to help us. He does the things we like it as a playmaker, making plays for himself and others. And obviously, he can shoot the basketball. So You know, you add him to a list of guys that can shoot, and Taiwan and Hector and Blue and Terrell Wyndham and Zeke. You know, it just gives us another option of guards we can run out there, especially at the kind of pace that we want to play. He can play both positions, both guard positions. And I think probably the term that I heard the most about him was he's a dog. And we love those kind of people here in Denmark, South Carolina.
That's a great group. When I think about, Lewis and Gordon and Spells and how they kind of all fit together, but when you talk about with Fleecian and Ford, that's a heck of a recruited class.
We're really excited. I mean, we thought we've got some balance. We've got some freshmen. We're trying to end this recruiting class with some older guys, some older bigs that hopefully, in the next whenever that we'll be able to solidify those. But we like the addition of Trent that gets us older. But, we only had 3 freshmen on our team this past year. So we thought we could bring some freshmen in this year that weren't either at the point and they weren't posts that could really come in and give us minutes. We've got a couple of freshmen that we think, that can come in right away and really play. I know that's saying a lot, how tough NAI is, but we really think highly of some of our guys, and hopefully we can get 2 or 3 more here pretty soon to close out our recruiting class, and then we can just get to the Denmark summer explosion and get to August.
For sure. Give us an update on the summer explosion. How's everything going?
21 teams lined up, ready to go. I think them being able to play with a shot clock is being really important. We've got teams from Georgia, from South Carolina, from Florida. So really excited about that, to get teams to play different people, trying to get our South Carolina teams to play, some Georgia teams, Florida teams. But I know it's really helping the Georgia teams because they want to play with that shot clock, because this is year 2 of shot clock implementation in Georgia, where I think, if I'm not mistaken, you have to play with it in your region games. So it's really important for them to get some of that work in this summer. And that's all we're trying to do is, a couple of dates this summer before the NCAA camps are live in all the different states. I don't know what South Carolina's doing, but I know North Carolina's having one, and obviously Georgia's having one. So really excited about the opportunity to help those programs out to get better during the summer and before the season.
I hope they bring you in, the South Carolina High School Coaches Association. I hope they bring you in and have you speak and help them understand how huge that date could be for them to add that. Or maybe South Carolina, I believe, is neighboring state. I think you can do neighboring states. Maybe we can get
North Carolina can maybe get with South Carolina, or if I'm not mistaken, I think it just depends on how many teams signed up. But I believe Georgia may be allowing one of those weekends some out-of-state teams to come in. So, because it's about the kids, man. To be honest, it's truly about the kids. So,
it is. I'd like to see it. I think it also adds to what you were saying. It's matchups that you don't normally get. Helps everyone get exposure. Helps everyone get better. I think it will be good. We've got a guest backstage that we're ready to do. I think this is the first guest that we have ever had on Voorhess Tiger Vision. Huff, I'll allow you to introduce.
I call him a young man, only because he's younger than me. But a young man that I've grown to love, call him my friend, colleague. We had a chance to work together. We lived together when we worked together. So I'm just extremely happy to be able to bring on Coach Alex Ireland, the head coach of the Dalton State men's program in Georgia.
Coach, how you doing?
Great. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great. Doing great.
Good.
You know, I gotta sign all those recruits because I gotta figure out a way to beat Coach.
Coach, it won't take you long, brother. Trust me. I've seen you work long enough to know it won't take you very long.
I appreciate it.
Coach Ireland, you've had it going up at Dalton for some time. I know tough this year with COVID and all the missing games and all the stuff that went on to this year, but had a lot of success up in Dalton. When Huff first started at Voorhess, were you able to give him any advice about what it is to be at the NAIA level?
Yeah, I was. Huff and I talked a lot through that process, mostly just because I'd been there and he had. And I remember when I came from Tennessee Martin to come down to Dalton, and I kind of got my baptism by fire in NAIA basketball, and just got to see how a lot of things are the same and a lot of things are different. I think the basic thing that never changes is it's hard to win basketball games anywhere. High school, AAU, JUCO, D1, D2, D3, NAIA. It's hard to win basketball games anywhere, and you always appreciate them when you get them. But no, it was I was happy to help, and I think anybody that knows Huff knows that Huff's probably helped us more than we've ever helped him, and that goes for all of us. But I was happy to be able to
Me included.
share some of my experiences with him.
I appreciate those talks because I was learning on the fly. I can tell you that.
Oh, trust me, man. I get it. I mean, it was the same way for me. I remember my first NAIA game. We had a dead ball with like 15:52 on the clock, and I stood up and started walking onto the court like, all right, media timeout. and Coach Engel looked at me like, you're not in Division I, Coach. We don't have media timeouts. Our media timeouts are 12 and 5 in this league.
Yep.
And so the game's going on, and I'm like getting my folder out, getting ready and doing all my timeout stuff. And so I went through it just like you did. So
and I tell people it took probably 4 to 5 games to get your feet wet because it's just different, man. Like it's just different. Like I had been a head coach in high school for many years. I had been an assistant Division I, but being a head coach at any college program, I don't care what level you're at, that's just different. Like it's a flow you've got to get used to. And it took me 4 or 5 games to really get used to that flow. And I'm not afraid to admit that. And once you got it, then you kind of say, okay, I know when I should make this sub here. Because it's just different. It's different than anything.
There's a huge difference. I mean, It's high school to college, AAU to college, whatever it may be. And all, like you said, all levels are. There's great basketball at all levels. I mean, the last time when I was on the For Love of the Game pod, we talked about some of the high level guys that have played in our leagues. But yeah, it is. There's just an adjustment, and for me, it went from Division I assistant to assistant here for Coach Engel for a year, and that was a little bit of an adjustment, in that the roles are more all encompassing. As we have less staff, but then to go from that to being the head coach like that, it flips, man. There's a lot, and it moves really, really fast, and it takes a minute for it to slow down for you to be able to kind of see the moves ahead of time and get a feel for what's going on and how it works.
Agreed.
Watching you guys go at it and coach against each other was probably a better moment for me than it was for you guys. I just got to sit back and watch great basketball. I don't think people understand, number one, the talent level that is at the NAIA level, and then the level of coaching, like the adjustments that were being made coming out of these timeouts and the things that were being run and the way you guys were executing at such a high level. I think it's something that gets understated. I think there are high school kids, parents, and now I'm even finding out even high school coaches that don't really understand. That's like, no, coach, compared to what the stuff that you're running at the high school level, you'll get your boot smoked by these guys at the NAIA level. Can you guys talk about that? Just what your experience has been out recruiting, talking to guys, from the guys that get it versus the guys that don't.
Coach, I'll let you start.
It kind of goes back to what I said before, man. And like, there's no way we can win at this level if you're trying to send us your seventh or eighth best guy. Number one, because it's hard for us to win with high school guys anyway, and that's no disrespect to high school guys. They've got to be the right kind of guys that you want to bring into your program that you feel have potential and can grow. But it's hard for them to even get on the court right away. So your seventh, eighth best guy is just not going to work for us if we're trying to compete at the highest level. And I think there are a lot of misconceptions about NAIA basketball, like, oh, you play high school basketball, so you can go play NAIA. No, that's not the case. We're paying for somebody's education one way or another too. Then the other thing I think is that they don't understand. I think number one, that there's no Division I, Division II in NAIA anymore. I think that's another thing that people have to realize. Like, when you get there, you go to that tournament. That's the team that won it all, Shawnee State. I would have to face them if I was in the tournament. There's no Division I, and if you look at their roster, I've got to try to build a roster to compete with them. I mean, they've got a kid that's in the transfer portal that, number one, has entered his name in the NBA draft, but number two, has all high major, mid major schools gawking over him to try to get him to transfer to Division I.
Oh yeah, we actually played him my second year, the 1920 year. We played Shawnee. We actually beat him on a neutral site, and he's very good. Very good. The kid's blocked over 400 shots.
Right.
400 blocks. You know, a good shot blocker might block 2 a game. He's blocked over 400 in his career. He's very, very good.
It's getting it done.
Yeah, well, you know, I think I think kind of to piggyback on what Coach said. You know, to be honest with you, I think there are not enough people who really understand what a college basketball player is. Like, how good you have to be in general to be a college basketball player. And I think to some degree we don't have a great understanding across the board of what a pro is either. Everybody wants to be a pro these days. But, you know, we don't understand maybe how few spots those are. And you know, I think there's this general attitude, or I shouldn't say attitude, but there's this general school of thought that, like, all right, the top 2 players on your team can probably play D1, and the 3 through 5 can play D2, and then 6 through 8 can play D3, NAIA, maybe go JUCO. It's just doesn't, like I said, it doesn't work that way. It's not that linear. I mean, you know, my first year I coached Elijah Staley. He was the 10th best player in the state. Not on one team. He was the 10th best player in the entire state. Not the 10th best player in the region, the 10th best player in the whole state. He was top 50 in football and basketball. And, you know, Kevon Tucker, 15th best player in the state, All-American here. And so, you know, to be the 5th, 6th, 7th best player on a high school team, and to think that person is going to go into an NAIA program and play, contribute, whatever the case may be, I think it's just not, they just don't have a great grasp of what it is. But I think, you know, I think the other thing that we tackle here is people understanding expectations of what freshmen can do, period. You know, Coach said, you know, Coach made the point about, you know, it's hard for us to win with freshmen. Well, let me ask you guys this. When's the last time anybody has ever won with freshmen that weren't named Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, Kevin Durant, right? Like you might have in a high school graduating class, you might have maybe 10 guys that go play significant minutes as freshmen. Maybe. The rest of them wait their turn. And so it's not just us that can't win with freshmen. Nobody can win with freshmen. Now they may take freshmen and develop them for 2 years and then win with them as juniors and seniors. But nobody wins with freshmen, or very few people. Even the Coach K's, the Caliparis, how many times have those guys won it in the last 10 years recruiting the top 5 freshmen in the country? They haven't won it. I mean, RJ Barrett and Zion and all those guys, they couldn't get it done. So this idea that, oh yeah, the 8th best player on the high school team is going to go to an NAIA program as a freshman and go play right away is absurd. It's just not realistic. And I think that now with the amount of visibility we have with games being on webcast and stuff like that, a lot of teams have YouTube channels now where D2, D3, NAI, all kinds of levels kind of games are on. They're available for free online. I just encourage coaches to watch them. I encourage kids to watch them. I encourage parents to watch them, so that they realize kind of how deep the water is.
Yeah, I would agree. And then, I always tell people, Alex, like in Georgia, like you could go see every level of basketball in one little perimeter in an hour's drive and see whoever you need to see and realize the different levels that you need to see.
Oh, I mean, we are 90 minutes from downtown Atlanta. We are 25 minutes from Chattanooga. We play in the Dalton Convention Center. You can come see the Georgia High School Hall of Fame or the Georgia High School Coaches Hall of Fame, and come to any game, any coach, any player. Email me. I'll give you tickets. Just tell me when you want to come, and I'll put your name on my ticket list. But come watch us. You don't want to come to practice, fine. You don't, whatever. Come watch a game.
And it's 5 a.m., Coach.
You know what? You know what, Coach? Just for you, I backed it up to 6 this year. Just for you.
So now we're on the same playing field. See, we both at 6 a.m. in the morning.
I backed it up to 6, Coach.
Now, for my benefit, Coach, it's easier for me to get to Coach Ireland's 6 a.m. than it is for me to get to your 6 a.m.
You just gonna have to come down on a Friday night and then just stay over.
With all due respect, I think it's easier for us to get to anybody 6 a.m. than it is Coach Huff's. unless you're a resident of Orangeburg or Denmark.
Hey, a lot of great things happen in Denmark, South Carolina.
Hey, I didn't say it wasn't a great place. I just said it ain't gonna get to at 6 a.m., buddy.
Right.
For sure. Coach, I saw something, and I feel like you two will be great to run this by. We talked a little bit about it on Love of the Game, but without being college coaches, I feel like it's tough for us to necessarily speak to it. I saw a video where some ESPN guys were discussing the retirement of Roy Williams at North Carolina. And Huff, I believe I sent that video to you. So for you, Coach Ireland, I'll try to do my best to paraphrase and make sure I sum it up really well. But I think it speaks to the issue, Coach Ireland, that you were talking about with freshmen and being able to play right away. They talked about how Roy Williams has always said that that he would retire when he felt like he wasn't the right guy for the job. Mm-hmm. And they were speculating as to why he may now feel like he's not the right guy for North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Roy Williams kind of said in his speech, he pointed out that I never thought that I was necessarily the best guy. I was always somebody that may have been better than me, but I felt like I was the right guy up until now. And he kind of alluded to the fact, and they were speaking to the fact, I think it was Jason Williams and what was it? The coach that used to not Mike Greenberg, but a coach that used to coach at Virginia Tech that is now a analyst. Seth Greenberg. There you go. And they were alluding to that Roy Williams was a relationship guy. And it's what made him a great coach was the fact that he was able to build such great relationships with his players, that he was almost another father figure for a lot of kids that came on campus. But with the one and done, with the transfer rules, with so much pressure, and I'm using pressure as in air quotes because I feel like it's almost an illusion. Like you said, because no one is really winning with freshmen, but there's this illusion that freshmen have to play or that means something if they don't. But that pressure makes college basketball less fun for Roy Williams, and that he felt like it was time for him to step down kind of due to this odd mix of the environment of what's going on. That's my best of being able to explain that. But I'll toss it over to you guys to see if, you're seeing, you guys have been coaching for a long time and you've coached at different levels. Is that something that you feel now of that you don't have enough time to really build great relationships with the kids that you coach?
I'll let you go first, Alex. You've been doing it a little bit longer as far as at this level.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I can certainly understand, especially coming from Coach Williams' point of view, kind of how it would be frustrating because he's traditionally taken 4-year guys. I mean, even when he took 1-year guys like Cole Anthony and stuff like that, you could kind of see that it wasn't quite the right mix for him. I think for me, it's, I've always been in places where we've recruited a lot of junior college, where we've done some transfers and stuff like that. I mean, even going back to Valdosta State, my first year, I think we had 6 or 7 Division I transfers on the team. But I think the thing is now you don't really know why a kid's going to transfer. And I think that's the most alarming thing is it used to be that, if kid got towards his junior or senior year and he wasn't playing a ton, he might make a decision to go down a level to get a little bit more of a better experience in his last year of playing. And I think we can all kind of relate to that, right? Like we all want to play. Everybody's been on a team where they've wanted to play. I think now there's just the reasons you hear from kids when they're transferring, I think is kind of the alarming thing. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a lot of guys in the transfer portal. Like we've kind of been immune to that since I've been at Dalton, and for whatever reason, we've had some guys who said, "Hey, coach, I just don't think I want to play basketball anymore. I just want to go be a student and get a job." We haven't had many kids who've come in and said, "I want to play basketball. I just don't want to play it here. I want to go somewhere else and play it." Now, and to the contrary, we've had a lot of kids who, for whatever reason, have not gotten along well at their last school or 2 schools and come here and finish well in their last 2 years. But I think the kind of thing that's odd for me is just the reasons, the amount of different, he played me at the wrong position, or the one I get a lot now is I want to go pro and I got to go somewhere where I can play more and have a chance to go pro. I've had kids who have not committed because they want to be able to do whatever they want. Like they've literally said, like, I just want a coach to let me do my thing so I can score 20. That's where it gets alarming and kind of confusing as a coach, because if I coach you too hard, you'll leave. If I don't coach you at all, you'll leave. If you play really well, you'll leave. If you don't play at all, you'll leave. If your girlfriend breaks up with you, you'll leave. If I don't, you kind of feel like you're walking on eggshells a lot, because kids, I think sometimes are always searching for the greener grass, but sometimes the grass is greener where you water it. And sometimes you make a bad decision in high school, or you make an uninformed decision, or something like a coaching change happens that changes the dynamics of your decision. But I think there's too many reasons for transfers now where you're just kind of confounded. Like, I don't know what to do. Do you want me to coach you hard? Do you want me to let you do whatever you want? Do you want me to hold you responsible and help you be the best player you can be? Or do you just want to do whatever feels good? Because that's not my job. Like, you can't tell me you want to be a pro if you're not going to let me push you. You can't tell me you want to be the best player you can be if you're not going to let me hold you accountable for things. It's just, so as a coach, you just find yourself kind of guessing sometimes. Like, how do I handle this kid? And I'm sure for guys like Coach Williams, for guys at those elite levels where their guys are, after a year, their guys are going pro. I'm sure it's even harder for them because the amount of options is just multiplied.
If I would add on, I think we have the relationship part is very big because I'm a relationship guy, and just like Alex is, and we talk about it all the time. I believe sometimes these players, these kids, have too many people who are telling them things that really don't have their best interests at heart. Like they're
Or they
not
don't even know what their best interest is.
right, and they're not understanding why adversity is going to make you a better man. Forget about a better basketball player, but a better man. Like sometimes you got to go through something to become the person that you need to become, and fighting through that adversity of why you're not playing, why you're not starting, why you're not able to do what you want to do, and why you have to play within a system. Sometimes that's the adversity you need to get to where you want to go. And I think too many times especially when you get to our level, where we're hearing all this, a lot of times, a lot of players haven't heard anybody tell them the truth. They haven't heard anybody tell them, no, I'm not guaranteeing you're going to start. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to play this many minutes. I'm guaranteeing you an opportunity. And if you come in and do the things that we think you can do, then everything else will take care of itself.
That's right.
But I mean, it's very hard sometimes, because I just think a lot of kids are getting a lot of different things, and it's hard for them to decipher what they should be listening to, what they shouldn't be listening to.
They're they're
We
not
got
even
kids
really.
right now. I'm going to cut you off. We got kids right
No, you're
now.
good.
If we're talking about high school players, and I'm never telling anybody don't bet on themselves. I would never tell a kid to not bet on themselves. But at some point, we've got to be realistic that we can't tell a kid, well, you shouldn't take this JUCO offer, or you shouldn't take this D3 or D2 or NAI offer when there's nothing else on the table. Obviously, that person believes in you and what you can become, but you're not going to accept that because somebody said, no, you're better than that. Oh, no, you're supposed to be playing pro. You can't go there and play pro. Well, how do you know that? Like I tell people all the time, the only other person other than Michael Jordan to wear the number 23 in Chicago Bulls history came from Voorhess College. Like, so don't tell me you can't go, whether it's Voorhees or Dalton State or wherever, and go play pro. And there's a difference in pro. There's a difference in playing in the NBA and being a pro basketball player. Those are two distinct differences. And I think people have to understand that too.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately kids are not at the age where they're mature enough to decipher all the advice. Like, there's just not. I mean, our brains aren't fully developed until we're almost 30, and so you've got a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid with advice from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just do what feels good, or what kind of feels the best, or what sounds the coolest, or um, I think the sad part about the whole thing is you mentioned relationships. I think the saddest part is, for me, one of the best parts about coaching is seeing a kid go through the struggle, develop, grow, mature, and you can kind of look back and go, you remember where you were like 2 years
Right.
ago?
Yeah.
We have a kid who, we walked into the weight room and he tried to do a deadlift and everybody just was rolling on the floor laughing because he had never touched a weight before. and it was just ridiculous. I can't even mimic to you what he tried to do. But now, he's lifting, his body's completely changed. He's an all conference guy, and you get to see that growth as a player, as a man, as an athlete that you don't really get to see anymore. It's get bounce around and around and around. And sometimes you get to the point where guys are in their 4th or 5th year of college and they have no relationships. They have no relationships with coaches. They have no teammates that they still talk to. It's this guy I played with over here, and then this kid I played with over there, and you don't have those bonds and those relationships. And truth be told, that's the best thing about college.
Yep.
When you graduate, campus stays there, man. The gym stays there. The bus stays there. Like all the stuff on campus stays there. It's your relationships, and then your memories and the things that you've accomplished there. Those are the things that go with you and your degree. The rest of it stays there. But if you graduate college, you have no relationships. What have you really done? It's. I was actually going through my phone the other day, and I had a voicemail from Kevon Tucker, who, East Tennessee State. He was the Georgia JUCO Player of the Year. Played at Wofford before that, and he called. And I listened to it the other day about 3 times. I was just floored. He called our basketball office and just said, "Hey, coach, this is Kevon Tucker. I'm from Atlanta. I want to stay close to home. I just want to, I want an opportunity my last year to win a championship." I said, "Coach, I just want to win a championship. I just want to be part of a championship culture. I want to win a championship." And Kevon was a guy who had every reason to come in and be selfish. It was his last year. He could get numbers and go pro. Instead, he was part of a 30-win team. He won a championship. He had a chance to win a national championship if it wasn't, canceled, and was still a first-team all-conference guy and All-American. So it's out there. It's just rare.
That's why I always say you got to do your research, man. It's, like everybody know in the little chat, everybody's talking about the emails we get. It's all about relationships, man. Like, do I have a relationship with somebody that's in your circle, somewhere you played, where I can really understand what you're about as a player, or as a person? Because I can watch y'all the film and all that stuff and say, oh, he can play, but is he gonna fit the culture that we're trying to build? I know that I'm trying to build, that Alex has already built at Dalton. Like, those are big things for us. And if we don't have a relationship, I can promise you, both of us on this call probably aren't recruiting if we don't have if we can't build a relationship with you or have some kind of relationship with somebody around you that can get us to the point to build a relationship with you.
Absolutely.
I see it at a base level, I think, with AAU and how AAU is. I was just recently having a conversation with another AAU director, and I said, this is the most selfish group of parents and players I've ever seen since I've been around basketball. And a kid will come into your organization from an AAU standpoint, plug themselves in, and play one tournament, 3 games, and expect that that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. It's like, hey, man, we played 50 games during AAU. Your first 3 games with us, I don't even know you. You don't know me. I'm bringing you off the bench. Your teammates don't know how you play. You don't know how they play. How can you take that as a evaluation of what you're going to be if you stay here? But that is how fast people want it to happen. And I feel like they're taking that same mentality and they're going to college. And if the summer doesn't go right, they already kind of have it in their head that they're out. And it's like, I don't think you can even tell where you are at that school your freshman year. Like, how do you know until you get into that sophomore year or your junior year, right? Until you've been a part of the program and build some sort of relationship or trust with that coach. But it's almost like they expect that to be given to them, that trust is not earned anymore, that trust is supposed to be given from day one. I have a hard time understanding where that comes from.
Well, it's confusing to say the least. I mean, I think we don't. I don't know what we just want. Everybody we want something. We want something now, and I want it because I want it, and because I want it, I should have it. And I just don't think. Like I tell my guys all the time, like, when you go get a job, they're not going to pay you to do what you want to do. They're going to pay you to make money for them. They're not like, and that's we talk about. I mentioned the reasons that guys transfer. Well, he was playing me out of position. I need to play the 4 instead of the 5 so that I can go pro, or I need to play the 3 instead of the 4 so that I can go pro. Well, you've got to contribute to a team. No GM is going to pay you to come in and do your thing. They're going to pay you to win them games, which is going to make them money.
Yes.
So unless you can make that general manager money, that GM is not going to employ you. So you better learn how to do something for the group and service a group that's bigger than yourself. Because trust me, your whole life, you're going to be around a group that's bigger than yourself, whether it's your work, your family, your community, whatever it may be. You're going to be around a group that's bigger than yourself.
And I would add, do you want to leave a legacy? Like, playing whatever position you want to play, to score how many points you want to play, is all about you. And in our program, it's about the brother that's next to you. And do you want to leave a legacy? And that legacy is when you bring your family back to a place that you graduated from. Were you able to leave something behind that's sustainable? Because nobody's going to remember, oh, he averaged 30-some points. They might remember that 2 years afterwards, maybe 5. After that, when you come back for homecoming, they don't, oh, he played.
and that's
What's his name again? I remember he was on the team. What is his name?
And that's for the ones that actually average 30. What about the ones that transfer when they average 2.5?
Right.
I don't think we talk enough about legacy. I remember, for me, growing up as a player, it was getting your number retired. It was holding a record at the school. It was winning a championship. Like, I still remember the name Robbie Valentine. I still remember Jeff Hall. These are guys that played at Louisville that we know them because they were part of a championship team. You're not going to play back that film and find them. But they're remembered forever because they won a championship. They were part of something, like Coach said, bigger than themselves.
But when we talk about legacy, we talk about distant future. There's no instant gratification in legacy. And I think that's the problem, is there's too much searching for instant gratification. I started reading an article the other day called The Mundanity of Excellence, and just how mundane excellence is. How boring and time consuming, and how much time it takes to just repeat the boring, simple stuff all the time, over and over and over again, so that you can become great at it. But now, even in the way that kids work out sometimes, you make a jump shot, now you want to move on to a step back. Wait a minute. You made one jump shot. Can you make 50 of them? Can you make 100 of them? How many can you make out of 100? But we're moving right on to step backs, and then we're doing the all kinds of the jelly and all kinds of different, like, how the ability, I think, in young people, and it's probably because I can pick this thing up right here and I can get anything I want in 10 seconds. But the ability of young people, I think, today, to delay gratification, to stick it out, to go through uncomfortable things that are not fun, things that challenge you, but end up building you and making you a better man and a stronger person. I think, I think that's the scary thing in college basketball. You just don't have as much of that anymore. I mean, the minute you get yelled at, you're out. The minute you don't get played, you're out. The minute you got to go rebound against bigger guys, you're out. It just, it's unfortunately, it's a little sad.
In your guys' perspective, is college basketball as cool as it used to be?
It's still, I'm not gonna lie, it's still pretty cool to me. I mean, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be where I am, to coach at the place I'm able to coach these young men. So, to make the trip to Dalton, Georgia to play coach last year, or when we had to go to Talladega, like, there's just something about it. Like, I grew up like wanting to do this. You know what I'm saying? Not taking anything away from when I was a high school coach, but it's just when you come into the office every day and it's about recruiting, how can I get my team better, making sure they go to class, that to me, like, is something I still love to do that. Like, there's nothing that says I don't want to do that anymore. This is boring. I mean, I think when you talk about, is it the same or is the glitz or the glamour the same? I think too many times, and I've said this quote before, that we always looked at the Monday nights or Tuesday nights and the fancy suits that we saw on ESPN and thought that was college coaching. And in reality, when you see those guys in those suits on a Monday or Tuesday night, that's probably less than 2% of the job they have to do. And I think that's the struggle that comes into it when, no disrespect, and when some guys that come down from the higher level don't understand all the stuff that goes into being a college coach. Some are able to handle it and some aren't. But I think, man, right now, I just still love what I'm able to do, man. The day I don't love it, I guess I go back to Roy Williams and I'll hang it up and I won't do it anymore.
I remember a time where I wish kids would just watch more basketball, more college basketball. I remember
kids watch highlight tapes. Like, they watch, like, you can go on YouTube and watch the highlights of the Knicks and the Blazers from last night in 2 minutes. So why do you need to watch the game? I think that's what gets lost, is you don't see see the one Derrick Rose play, but you don't see the other 10 that he made that were really boring, simple plays that led to 25 points.
Well, I'll take it even further, Alex. I think as much as we love SportsCenter, I think it all stems from SportsCenter. Like,
sure,
SportsCenter
was get it on your phone and on the internet now and everywhere.
There is a when we talk about highlights, the NBA will allow you to watch a condensed game and watch a full game in about 15 to 20 minutes. That's the sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
I want to see guys miss shots. They don't make them all. So I want to see guys miss shots.
Somebody made somebody miss a shot.
Right.
Cut out the commercials, cut out the free throws.
Dead time.
Yeah, give me the rest of the game. And I think that 21 minute or so is a sweet spot for me. But I remember as a kid, and I don't want to date myself too bad, but I feel like I'm old, but I'm not that old. But it depends on who you ask, I guess. You remember the black cart with the TV on it?
Yeah. They had the strap over the top of the TV. So
the straps over the top of the TV. Seeing your teacher roll that into the classroom in March.
Oh, man.
Was the greatest thing in the entire world. No one came to class after the bell. You were never going to be late. Everybody was going to do their work. There's going to be no disturbances, because when they rolled that TV on with the promise of, hey, if you guys pay attention and do this assignment, I'm going to turn this on and you're going to get to watch college basketball. I would do someone else's work for them that day. And it was the greatest. And I don't know if kids are begging for that today. And I really wish that they would, because you learn. I feel like I've taken for granted the things that I learned from just watching college basketball on TV.
I think how we watch it changed too. I think kids root for players now. They don't root for teams as much.
Yep.
Um, and the ability to, watch a guy on the West Coast on a Tuesday night is different. We used to. I got whatever game was on TNT, and I got the Hawks. That's all we got. That's it. You better either like the Hawks, or you better hope that the team you like is on TNT. Because if not, or ESPN. Because if not, you're not going to see them. And now people, who's your favorite team? I'm a LeBron fan. Yeah, but who's your favorite team? LeBron's not a team.
LeBron goes. That's
Right.
That's right. That's right.
And maybe I was a basketball junkie back then, and I didn't know it. But Northern Kentucky wasn't Division I back then, and I still knew about Northern in high school, and we watched their games. Bellarmine was everybody's favorite, even back then, and they just moved up just recently to Division I.
Yeah.
And we still love them. Going to see Bellarmine play against Indianapolis, like, I was excited for that. I was excited for that game. Georgetown was
Kentucky,
always,
Georgetown, not the one in DC.
Not the one in DC. The what I call the real Georgetown, the other Georgetown.
NAIA Blue Blood. That's what I call them. NAIA Blue Blood. That's what I call
those guys. And those guys would come to the park and hoop. They would come to, the student center at University of Louisville and hoop, and seeing how good they were. It was, but we knew those guys, and we kept up with that part of basketball. And I think it would be super helpful if guys were still doing that. If kids in Georgia today were keeping up with, oh man, that guy plays for Dalton, like, he's good, like, or South Carolina kids, like, man, this guy goes to Voorhess, like, he's, you know what I mean? And I just feel like they are completely, if you're not in the NBA, it's almost like they're kind of oblivious to it.
Yeah, and I think because they can get the NBA games all the time, or they can get the NBA highlights all the time, they don't always see our stuff,
True.
which is readily available. You can go on our website right now and watch every home game we played.
Same for us.
You can watch every home game. So, I think as our game globalizes and as technology allows us to do certain things, I think, we'll start to see more people that are more familiar with our level. But it just right now, I think it's hard, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I want high school coaches to come watch us play. I want most JUCO guys know what our level is for the most part, but JUCO guys, come watch us play. Kids, come watch us play. Come, heck, we play open gym. Come hoop, like, come be around. Come see what basketball really is, and our level. I think the thing that people don't understand about our level is, like I said, there used to be this idea that, first two players D1, second three players D, whatever. Our level is very non-linear. It's not like I came out of high school and then I just went whoop, and I've been there the whole time. It's we've had guys that didn't play anywhere out of high school, guys that went to junior college and then had family problems, guys that have had tragedies in their lives and they took a year off, or we've had so many, the amount of different stories, right? We all talked about relationships tonight. The amount of different stories that we encounter, and the things that kids have gone through and prevailed through and triumphed through is really, really fun about our level. And I wish people would get to know it and know some of these stories more. A lot of them are very, very moving.
Yep, I'll second that.
Great question. I wasn't expecting to see here, but a great question for Will Maddox. It says, so how are you all going to deal with players getting paid for their likeness? to Coach Huff and Coach Ireland. I guess the new image and likeness rules. I have no idea how that changes the game. How does that change the game for you guys?
I think for us, I don't really know how much it does change the game. I think the players' ability to go market themselves is a good thing. I think this game is made by players. You know, I assure you, not one of our fans, except for maybe family or whoever, comes to watch me play or watch me
Right.
coach. And I'm sure the same thing for you, Huff. Um, but they come to watch the players, and so the players' ability to market themselves in a summer camp at home or something to that nature. I'm A, I'm all for it, and B, I don't think it really does change.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for us, it's a little bit different for us. We aren't Division 1, so trying to say this the right way. It's they allow the image and likeness is not as strict, if I should say that. I mean, there's still parameters of it, but I think it would. I mean, if it can help the player, I'm all for it. Like, what if it helps the player continue his education,
Maybe
because the
put his
cost of
hands
school has
somewhere.
went
Yeah.
up. Like, I'm
Yeah.
all for that. Like, because we got to understand that inflation in the cost of these schools is continuously rising. No matter what we think, what we say, like, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and every school is different. You know, some schools that meal plan you can eat as much as you want. Other schools it's only some amount of swipes. Well, if that kid gets an image and likeness, he can get all the swipes if he's at that school. Like, so I'm with Coach, man. It's
Eh,
it's not as
Here's the
big.
thing. Here's the thing that gets lost in translation for it is it only matters if the player has value and can market himself. We're not talking
Yep.
Correct.
about like we're not
Yep.
talking about like some extra benefit that the college is bestowing upon the student athlete. We're talking about a player who, through his own play and his own hard work, has made himself valuable and marketable. What's wrong with him capitalizing on that?
Nothing at
Going
all.
home and running a summer camp, going home and making music. A lot of kids now have the ability to make music on their own, like on their personal computers or whatever, and they make music and they're able to sell it with their name. We're not talking about, you know,
Yep.
this is so and so state player. What? No,
Yep.
man. We're talking about just using my own name,
Or
going
even
on the
or
court.
even the one where they use the YouTube or whatever to
Right,
they get all these views, but they get paid
right.
for it. So
And so all we're doing is, this is not some extra benefit or this grand scheme or something that's going to increase corruption in college basketball. This is allowing kids to capitalize on the work that they've done themselves. And if they haven't done the work and they don't have a value and a market for it, guess what? They can sell their likeness all they want, but they're not going to get anything for it.
right.
First player I think of today is like Josh Christopher. Is the first kid that I think about in today's game where, he's still playing AAU and he had socks with his face on it. He jumped on Instagram and showed everybody his skincare routine and had I don't know how many people on his IG live following him. It allows a kid like that who has an audience or has a following for whatever reason. Back in our day, Greg Anthony had a T-shirt business when he was at UNLV. Guys should be able to profit off of those businesses, and using the internet, kids are able to build profitable businesses, and they should be allowed to keep them even if they're college
Here,
athletes.
here are two very practical examples. So Kelvin McConnell, who very well may be listening right now, played at Kennesaw when I was there. Kelvin makes beats.
Yep.
Kelvin is a producer. Kelvin has worked with some very, very highly acclaimed artists. Kelvin would sit up in his dorm at night after going to school, doing basketball, lifting weights, whole 9 yards, and make music. But he's not allowed to use his own name that his parents gave him to sell those? That makes no. He has to create an alias. You're trying to control the young man's use of his own name? It doesn't make sense. You know,
Correct.
Drew Hanlon, same way. Drew Hanlon's when he was a player at Belmont. Everybody knows him now because he's an NBA guy and he trains Joel Embiid and all these guys. He was at Belmont when I was at Kennesaw. You know, he created Pure Sweat, and the reason it's called Pure Sweat is because it was illegal for him to call it Drew Hanlon Skills Training or whatever. He can't use his own name. It doesn't make sense. I mean, that's just a very practical thing that, you know, we shouldn't be able to bar kids from using their own name in their own company. It doesn't make sense.
I agree. There you have it. That's the answer. They're going to let kids get it done, as we should. I think this is much less of a big deal than I think we think. There's probably a very, very small percentage, a percent of players where this could get out of hand in one shape or form. But it's already out of hand for those same kids.
This rule is made for the walk-ons.
Yep.
And the guys that play a couple minutes a game, and the guys that are working an extra job to make it work. It's not made for the Zions. The Zions of the world are all right. They're going to be all right.
They're going to be all right.
Allowed to capitalize on their likeness or not? Trust me. Trust me.
They're getting it done.
I think we've all stood at Lake Point behind 7 rows of people trying to watch Zion play. I don't think he's struggling.
He's not.
No, he's fine. Well, guys, man, a tremendous show. I definitely appreciate the time, Coach Ireland, Coach Huff as well. Appreciate the update on all things Voorhess, letting us know how things are going for the summer. Great chat. Looking forward to it. Are you guys playing each other again this coming season?
We're working on it. He's got to make that trip to Denmark this year.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sunny Denmark, South Carolina. The premier vacation destination of America.
Hey, look at me encouraging Coach making the drive up when I don't have to drive. I'm gonna ride with somebody. But no, I love it, man. I hope you guys get to do it. I hate that somebody has to lose that game. It was an amazing game watching you guys go at it. Great environment. But I'm hoping to get back up, hoping to get up to Denmark this year to see you, Huff, and hoping to actually, Coach, I haven't seen you in the big house yet. I'm hoping to get up to the big house, man, for sure.
We're back in the trade this year, baby, where we belong. So it's you know, last year was tougher. I love playing in bandy because it's we usually pack it out and you know, it's really loud and it's fun, but when you're not allowed to have fans, it doesn't work. You can't pack it out if there's no fans. So, you know, I'm looking forward to being back in the Trade Center where we've always played, and it's one of the best. You know, it's the top 5 arena in the nation. So I'm looking forward to being back. And anybody, any coaches, any parents, any fans, anybody who wants to see basketball, please email me. Please call me, email me, text me. I'll give you tickets. You won't even have to pay. Come to the game. See what college basketball is like at some of these different levels. You might be surprised.
If you haven't seen it, if you're not expecting it, you're going to be surprised.
Will.
Great basketball. But fellas, great talking to you, man. Really appreciate it. That is our show for today. And we'll be back soon with another Voorhess Tiger Vision. And who knows, we may have another special guest for you. So make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, search Love of the Game Podcast on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on as you do not want to miss the next episode of Voorhess Tiger Vision. So that's our show for tonight. I'm Andre Allen, and we'll see you next week.